Yes, I think.
All right, conviction upon these allegations could result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law. You do have the right to have an attorney defend you on these allegations, and you have the right to a contested hearing on them. At a contested hearing, the burden of proof would be preponderance of evidence. That means the probation officer must have a better case than you that you violated your probation in any or all of these ways. And so, are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you on a contested hearing on these allegations?
No.
Okay, then I am going to read these allegations, and to each one, tell me how you plead, guilty or not guilty. As to the offense of violating your probation by failing to report as directed on January 26th, February 25th, March 31st, and May 10th of 2021, how do you plead?
Yes.
And as to the offense of failing to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, which currently total $570, how do you plead?
Yes.
Last, to the offense of violating your probation by failing to report to probation on the first business day after being released from jail, how do you plead?
Yes.
All right, I am going to have your probation officer give me a quick chronology of this case, and then I'll hear your comments, okay? Ms.
Thank
Kapersky?
Thank you. Michael was placed on probation October 27th of 2020. He was released from the Kent County Jail December 22nd of 2020 for a circuit court matter that happened before probation. He failed to report the first business day after he was released. Notices were mailed to the address we have on file. I've sent emails to him, called the phone number that he provided, which was out of service. I made every attempt to get a hold of him. No payments have been made on his fines. Michael contacted me on April 14th of this year stating that he was in alternative directions. So his original probation violation hearing was dismissed, and he was ordered to pay his fines and costs in full, and I would discharge his probation unsuccessfully since he is on probation in circuit court and in 63rd District Court. He failed to do that and failed to report for his next phone report, which was on May 10th, and then I issued the violation hearing again at that point.
Mr. Gordon, where have you been?
I've been in alternative directions, and then I ended up running from there. But prior to running from there, when I contacted my PO, he told me that if I pay this amount of money, I can be discharged. They control my money there. They take all my, when I work, they take the paychecks, and they were supposed to send it out. And then they said they couldn't when I got back here, because I recently am in alternative directions right now. They said they couldn't send that money to that case because I'm there for a different case. So they said the only way I would have to be able to do that is make a payment plan. And that's what happened. Now me not reporting and calling in, look, that was due to me leaving alternative directions. I was placed in jail for about a week or two, or something like that. And then they sent me back to alternative directions. That's where I am.
Yeah, so he absconded from alternative directions and then was picked up on May 27th and was released June 2nd. He's been alternative directions since June 3rd.
How long are you supposed to be at alternative directions?
I am discharged from there on September 30th. So 4 months.
So tell me about what kind of reporting you have to do with them, right? So they know you're here now.
Yes, they know I'm here.
And then you have to let them know when you're done and you're coming back, and you're not allowed to go anywhere else except for there.
I have a paper that I have to get signed, and I have to report right back to there after that.
And so if you are set up on a payment plan with the 62B District Court, will payments be able to be made?
Yes, but I would have to do it in, because they give us a so-called pocket check every week for $40, but I have money in that account since the last time I ran, so they held it, and I thought they would send it to this court, and they never did, because it's 2 different courts cases, and I'm there for a different case, so I would have to use the payment plan, the pocket checks they gave me in order to pay it off.
So circuit court sent you to alternative directions?
Yes.
Why do they think you're gonna stay this time when you didn't stay the first time?
Because not only that, I turned myself in pretty much was like, I need to get this over with. I contacted my PO and I told her I was the one that I'm there for this case. I told her I'm ready to get this over with, get all my stuff ready. They gave me another chance there. And, I started working.
Where are you working?
It's a place called Spartan Nash.
Familiar. Ms. Kapersky, your recommendation?
My original recommendation was to revoke probation because he absconded after 60 days, served jail, paid fines and bullets with additional jail. Since he made contact with the court, I don't know if that absconding still applies to this recommendation. If not, he would have to be continued or unsatisfactory discharge, but fines and costs still owing.
What other terms were part of this probation order? There's a no contact order in place. There's no allegation that that's been violated. Carlina, Darius, or Iris, Darius, Kristen, who are those people to you?
The Irish Christian was the daughter, the mother of my daughter, and then the Carolina is the mother
Of Iris?
Yes.
Are you having child visitation? Is there a custody order in place?
After it was born, I never saw it for her. So. Pretty much do what they want, and I'm at this point, I can't do nothing about it. So.
All right. Ms. Kapersky, I think he's got satisfactory oversight if he's at alternative directions. I don't know that continuing probation in this court would then add anything on top of that. And so I am going to discharge you from probation as unsatisfactory. You need to stop at the counter and make that payment plan because your fines and costs are still owing. All right. I hope you really take it seriously this time, Mr. Gordon. It sounds like you've had some ins and outs. We want to see you get past this. All right. Anything further, Ms. Kapersky?
Can we verify his address? The probation violation hearing got returned in the mail.
Okay. Well, he's at alternative directions. So
Do you get mail there?
Yes, I guess.
When you get out of there, are you gonna be
When I get out of there, it's gonna be my next one.
the whole day?
Yeah, 40131 Holyoke Drive.
Yeah.
that's what we have?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll make a note that he's in, we can make notes that he's in alternative directions now. Through September what?
30th.
All right, you're all set. Stop at the front counter and make a payment. Thank you. What is your name? Jesus Ortiz? All right, the court is calling the case of the city of Kentwood versus Jesus Antonio Ortiz, case number 19-50571 OD. Come right up here to the lectern, sir. You were placed on probation with this court for the offense of operating while intoxicated, first offense. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. It is alleged that you have violated your probation in a number of different ways. You've been on probation since December of 2019. Did you receive a copy of the petition and order to revoke probation? It has 5 allegations on it. Conviction upon those allegations can result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law. For this offense, that's 93 days. You have the right to contest these allegations. You have the right to have an attorney assist you in defending against these allegations, and you have the right to a contested hearing at which the probation officer would have to have a better case than you that you violated in the ways, any or all of the ways that are listed here. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you at a contested hearing on these matters?
Just on one of them, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, then if you are asking for one, we'll give you an attorney for all. So here's what we'll do. I'll have you have a seat. And can you see if Mr. Oberholzer is available? Go ahead and have a seat. Okay, have a seat in the lobby. An attorney is going to come and talk with you. Mr. Bastians, this is your client. Can you make a copy of the petition to give to Mr. Oberholzer? Muna Brooks?
That's correct.
She's not on my list.
She's not public.
Ah. The name is just familiar for whatever reason. Appearing on my screen as LG Stylo 6. It does not appear that you have your audio connected. Please connect to audio. I'm going to send a chat to you saying the same thing. The court can't assist you unless you connect your audio, and I don't know who you are. LG Stylo 6, you're still not connected via audio. connect your audio. All right, Ms. Brooks, you were placed on probation with this court for the offense of attempted assaulting, resisting, obstructing police, and domestic violence. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly, in November of 2020. And it is now alleged that you violated your probation by pleading guilty to assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer, and domestic violence second offense in the 17th Circuit Court on May 24th. You are convicted of violating your probation in that way. It is a substantive offense and can result in a revocation of your probation from this court and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law. In this instance, for the R&O attempt, that is up to 1 year in the county jail. For the domestic violence, it's up to 93 days. You have the right to have an attorney assist you. You have the right to contest this allegation, and you have the right to have a hearing on it. At the hearing, the probation officer would simply have to have a better case than you that you violated your probation in the way that is alleged. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you on this allegation?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to appoint the Kent County Office of the Defender to represent you. As it happens, we have an attorney here from the Kent County Office of the Defender. So I'm going to ask Ms. Kapersky to make a copy of the petition in your matter, provide it to him. If you'll go take a seat in the hallway, he'll meet with you shortly. LG Stylo 6, you figured out how to connect your audio.
Yeah, I seen the button where it was said to join. I was like, well, I seen you, but I couldn't see myself, so I finally figured it out. So
What is your name?
Thomas Kempner.
Mr. Kempner, I am glad to see you.
I'm glad. Yeah, I tried to get two ways to get to court today, and neither one worked. So kind of out here on my own now. So I don't really know how to try to take the bus, and I needed to have a mask. I don't have I don't have no clothes. And the same underwear and socks that I had from jail for 3 weeks. So yeah, I kind of got left dirty. I asked my dad for a clean set of clothes, and that's what I got. So I didn't get nothing. So I went to his house with the cops. I didn't do it the wrong way. And I got my debit card, and I guess I'm staying in a hotel for now.
Well, I was actually kind of surprised to see that you had bonded. I think the last information the court got was that you were in COVID isolation, but you have problem. It looks like you have been denied court-appointed counsel.
I seen that because the guy came and visited me, and then I got denied it. So I don't really, I guess I gotta figure it out, and I guess I'll have to defend myself because I really don't have the money to pay for a lawyer, really.
Well, I don't have your file in front of me anymore. Are you working right now?
Kind of going through a mental health type of situation. It's kind of why I got arrested. So Waiting on my counselor to get here, at the where I'm staying at the hotel. And then I got 2 mentors that I work with from Resurrection Life Church, and the other one's from a retreat I went to in Big Rapids 2018. So I'm basically just kind of waiting for them to get done with their day. Mark
Well,
gets off at 2 o'clock, and Yago gets off. He was at a clear meeting. I don't know what that is, but
no, but I'm gonna stop you right there, because what I asked you was, do you have a job to go to?
I really can't. I guess I could find one. I get unemployment because I don't really like to leave my house because I got a lot going on with the streets right now. So
You're getting unemployment?
yeah.
How much do you get biweekly?
594 every 2 weeks. I get that doubled, like 594 and 594 plus, but half of it goes to child support. So I only get I get 594 for myself, and then child support gets 594. And then the next 2 weeks the same thing. So I get about $1,180 every month. Yeah, I'm on the phone right now.
All right, Mr. Kempner, you are scheduled to be here next week.
17th.
Let's see. Right, the 17th. I took that off the docket when you didn't appear this morning, but we'll put it back on.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to contact court services and let them know that,
I talked to them too.
well, did they say they'd appoint an attorney for you?
He said to call and find out what went with court, went on with court, and then I had Kurt as my attorney, and then all of a sudden I got that paper in the mail. So
Well, that's because you have 2 different level cases. You have a misdemeanor, which stays here in district court, and that's Kurt. And then you have a felony, but he doesn't do felony cases. So the circuit court actually assigns those attorneys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell court services that you don't have the means to hire your own attorney and see if they will reconsider you. You will show up on the 17th. We'll put that date back on the docket, and I will withdraw the bench warrant that I authorized this morning, okay?
yeah, I appreciate that.
Connor, can we remind him there's a pretrial for the other cases on the 15th?
I'm being reminded that you actually are scheduled to be here with Mr. Oberholzer on the 15th for a pretrial on the misdemeanor matter.
Okay, tell her thank you for that reminder.
What time is that, Andrea?
I don't know because you are in this case.
I want to say it's in the afternoon.
I'm not in that one. I'm in the felony.
You have his name on it.
I got the paper. I just gotta look it up. I got the paper right here.
It's at 2:10, but just keep in communication with Mr. Oberholzer and he'll make sure you get here, okay? Yep, you've got the paperwork. So don't, I see you holding that paperwork up in your hand, so don't come to court having missed a date and saying I didn't have it.
No, because when I ran to the bus, I didn't have the mask. I tried to get my Uber I never called an Uber. I've never had to take the bus like this where it was, so I'm running up to the bus. I get up to the bus. The guy tells me I'm not allowed to get board the bus without no mask. So I run back. I didn't have no Wi-Fi. And my phone bill wasn't paid until 11-ish, 12. As soon as I paid, I called my lawyer to get everything in line. Cause I'm not trying to run.
You've done what you can do right now. Today, Mr. Kempner, like I said, I will withdraw the bench warrant that I authorized. We'll see you on the 17th. Well, we'll see you on the 15th and then the 16th.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You're all set.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
All right.
All right, the court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Ricky Allen Ward II, case number 21-60034 FY. You are Ricky Ward,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Ward appears with his attorney, Kurt Overholzer. This matter was set for a hearing when we arraigned Mr. Ward back on June 7. We appointed Mr. Overholzer. And have you had an opportunity to review the petition with your client?
Yes, thank you very much, Your Honor. I have had a chance to review the petition with Mr. Ward. At this time, Your Honor, do you believe Mr. Ward wishes to tender a guilty plea with regard to these probation violations, Your Honor? In addition, I would just like to say for the record that me and Mr. Ward did discuss the fact that if he is to tender a guilty plea, he would be waiving his right to have a contested hearing, and I believe he understands that by pleading guilty to these violations, he would be waiving that right to a contested hearing and wishes to offer those guilty pleas at this time.
All right, and Mr. Ward, if you tender guilty pleas on these and the court accepts them on all, your probation could be revoked, and that could result in sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law, in this case, up to 1 year in jail. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the offense of violating your probation by failing to report as directed on May 5th of 2021, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to the allegation that you violated your probation by failing to attend 12-step meetings as directed, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to the allegation that you failed to abstain from the use of illegal drugs testing positive for methamphetamine on April 21st, April 28th, and then missing 2 tests, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I'm going to have your probation officer give me a quick chronology on this, and then I'll hear your attorney's comments.
Thank you. Ricky has been placed on probation since February of this year. He has continuously tested positive for methamphetamines. We did receive a negative test on May 3rd. He was ordered to come in for additional testing on May 7th. He called me at 3:30 that day stating he was trying to find a ride, even though he had the whole day to get here. He missed his appointment on May 5th, even after I called him on May 4th, reminding him of his appointment. I left 2 voicemails for him to get in contact with me. Otherwise, I have to type a probation violation hearing. No contact has been made by him. He was ordered to attend 3 NAAA meetings a week until he was in counseling. No verification has been received that he has been going. My recommendation at this point is to continue his probation, serve 5 days in jail for missed tests and positive drug tests.
Mr. Overholzer.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm happy to report to the court that Mr. Ward, is actually in the process of securing a new employment, Your Honor. He actually, if he's able to leave here today, he's scheduled to undergo a physical and drug test for a new job with Cruz, I'm sorry, my apologies. So he is looking forward to that and happy to report to the court that he is securing this new employment.
Where is it?
It's called Cruise. It's on Broadway, right, like literally 2 minutes from my house.
What do they
It's
do?
Through Aerotech. They want me to be in assembly. They're gonna pay me 18 an hour to do it, so.
Are you going to drop clean for them?
Yeah, honestly, I'm supposed to literally go from here to Medline, which I plan on walking to Medline and then doing that and trying to find a ride to get back home.
Go ahead, Mr. Overholzer.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. And with regard to driving right now, that has also been, just with regard to getting around and getting places, it's been certainly a challenge for Mr. Ward as he is not able to drive right now. Luckily, his new employer here is literally a walk away, a 5-minute walk down the street from what Mr. Ward tells me. So he's thankful that he hopefully will be able to start with that employer, as it is absolutely convenient for him at this time. He's also been struggling with some other things going on in his life, Your Honor. Mr. Ward communicated to me that on May 26th and 27th, he actually just was in the hospital. He had to have some, I think, a minor surgery.
Yeah, and access from my right arm, which is.
I remember seeing you at jail
Yeah.
with that. Okay.
So yeah, he has been struggling with that, Your Honor, as of recent, and he had to go back to the hospital to have an additional procedure after the initial procedure. So that's something he's been dealing with as of recent, Your Honor. He is currently residing by himself, like I said, 5-minute walk away from this new employer. However, Mr. Ward is thinking he probably was going to be moving in with his mom in the near future. She still lives right next to a bus line, so it should still be convenient for him to be able to, get to work and hopefully get to his obligations that he needs to take care of. I would also just further note for the court, so the court's aware, he does have some pending cases out of the 63rd District Court currently. My understanding is it's a driving license suspended charge and possibly a violation of the Controlled Substance Act. However, he's taking care of those cases, Your Honor. I believe he's doing court on the 21st and 24th of this month. That's what Mr. Ward communicated to me. And he's certainly going to be there for those court dates and take care of those cases as he needs to, Your Honor. And so with that being said, Your Honor, I would respectfully ask the court to consider the recommendation by Ms. Kulkerski and to continue Mr. Ward on probation. I would further note that I do believe when he was initially incarcerated, I think as a result of this probation violation, before he did bond out, I do believe he served 4 days in the Kent County Correctional Facility. So we would certainly ask the court to take that into consideration and possibly give him any credit for the time that he did serve. But otherwise, Your Honor, we are asking the court again to consider a continuation of probation for Mr. Ward. He's securing this new job, hopefully. And it seems like he is trying to move, in the right direction here. And hopefully, we're hoping that this court will give him that second chance at this point, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Ms. Kapersky, what do you know about these cases in 63rd?
So he was arrested June 5th, and that's when he, I'm assuming, was charged with the possession of analogs and the driving license suspended. Those are new cases that he committed while on probation. He has upcoming court dates for those. And in regards to credit for time served, it would be 3. He was booked on June 5th and would be on June 7th.
Possession of analogs is a felony. Mr. Ward, I asked you if you're going to drop clean for this employer, and you said yes, but I have information at hand which makes me think you are still using drugs.
That was for my armpit. I just was paying that report.
Okay.
It's hard to lay on it, and it literally went from 1 abscess to 3.
I saw it. It looked awful. It seemed
Yeah,
very.
it's definitely not fun. And that's been almost 3 weeks ordeal all in its own, which made it to where I couldn't work at a Sunco anymore, which cost me my job there, which is probably the reason why I wasn't able to come in here. And on the 27th, when I was supposed to be here, I spent all night on the 26th doing this cut and drained, and it was not a very fun experience, to say the least.
Ms. Supa, at a sentencing on conviction for violating probation, a probationer who is not being terminated can be screened for entry into drug court, correct?
Correct.
I think that might be it.
The only issue is the pending charges.
Yeah.
Great, since I can't have any pending charges. But we can take into consideration.
Here's what I think I want to do. Mr. Ward, I am going to refer you to be screened for our drug court program.
Okay.
I'm going to schedule you for sentencing. What are his felony dates in 63rd?
24th.
21st and, okay, of this month, June. So we're going to schedule sentencing in July. I'm going to know whether or not you're eligible and or appropriate for drug court by then, whether or not you're prohibited by these charges that are happening in 63rd District Court, or if those have been somehow dismissed as a result of prescription medication or I don't know what. And I'm going to know whether or not you're employed and whether or not you're dropping clean and whether or not you've done all of the things you've promised to do today will make a difference in what I sentence you to in July. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to stay clean.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to go get this job. You have to report to 63rd District Court. You may not pick up any crimes. And we will see you back here in July for sentencing. What does he need to do to connect with you?
Let's see, today is Thursday. He needs to be here tomorrow to drop. Then you and I will sit down and then we'll talk about a drop schedule. If you miss a drop, you're not coming in to the program. You can't miss drops in drug court. I'm really, really particular about it. So we will set a drop schedule that you'll have to be on in the interim until we figure out whether or not you're eligible for the program, whether or not stuff is happening with 63rd, and then we will be able to go from there. So tomorrow, anytime after 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And before 4.
Report for tomorrow, June 11, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to the 62B District Court, right back here. Sorry, you gotta walk or get a ride. Number 2 bus stops right out here.
Okay.
All right, are we able to generate a notice for him of sentencing
I will be able to do that for him tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yep,
Okay.
I will have all the necessary documents tomorrow.
All right, go get your drug test done. All right, you're all set for today.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Mhm. And then, Mr. Ortiz and Ms. Brooks are waiting for you in the lobby, and has he been provided copies of the petition? Okay, all right. Yep. Mhm. All right, and then we can do Ms. Miles or Mr. Martin.
No preference or no?
No. We're not gender biased here.
I didn't imply that you were. I'm not going down that road.
Right to the lectern. Court is calling the case of the City of Kentwood versus Felicia Marie Miles, case number 19-50463OT. You are Felicia Miles?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Miles, you were convicted in this court of the offense of driving with your license suspended. You were placed on probation with my predecessor, Judge Kelly. It is alleged that you have violated your probation in a number of different ways, and I think you were just provided a copy of the petition. Had you seen that before, ma'am?
No.
I'll give you a moment to go ahead and read it. Let me know when you're finished.
Okay.
You read faster than I do. Conviction upon these allegations could result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law, which in this case is 93 days. You have the right to have an attorney assist you at a hearing against these allegations. You have the right, I think I said it all. You have the right to have an attorney assist you to defend against these allegations. You have the right to a contested hearing. At that contested hearing, probation officer would only have to have a better case than you, that you violated your probation in any or all of these ways. Are you asking for the court to appoint an attorney to represent you to defend these allegations at a contested hearing?
No.
Okay. Then I'm going to read these allegations to you, and you'll tell me how you plead to each one of them, guilty or not guilty. As to the allegation that you violated your probation order by committing the offense of possession of a controlled substance, methamphetamine, in the 27th Circuit Court. How do you plead? And as to the allegation that you violated your probation order by failing to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, which currently total $440, how do you plead?
Guilty.
To the allegation that you failed to clear at least one suspension from your license per month as directed.
Guilty.
To the allegation that you violated the amended probation order by failing to report to this court the first business day after your release from jail.
Guilty.
As to the allegation that you violated that same amended order by failing to obtain a substance abuse assessment as directed.
Guilty.
And as to the allegation that you failed to attend AANA meetings as directed.
Guilty.
Now, have your probation officer give me a chronology of events in this case, and then I'll hear your comments.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Felicia was placed on probation in the court on August 8th of 2019. This is her second violation on this charge. She appeared on video from the Kent County Jail on October 22nd, 2020. She pled guilty to all counts. Judge placed sentenced her to 9 days jail credit for 9 days served. He extended her probation to July 21st, 2021. Ordered her to obtain a substance abuse assessment, attend AA or NA meetings, and report to this court first business day for release from jail. She did have a hold on her out of Nuevo County, so she was immediately picked up from Kent County and spent some time in Nuevo County jail. However, she did not contact me in any way once she was released from Nuevo. She hasn't cleared her suspensions. She has not provided any sort of verification of substance abuse assessment and hasn't provided verification of support group attendance. She pled guilty to a new drug charge out of Nuevo in February of this year. And she has some additional pending charges. I believe she just had a felony controlled substance charge that was found over to circuit court this week out of 63rd District Court. She hasn't paid anything on her fines and costs in this court. She hasn't provided with her probation obligations at all. She was given a second chance by Judge Kelly to successfully complete her probation, as well as being given an opportunity to address her substance abuse issues, and she has failed to comply. The recommendation is to run off probation, serve a jail sentence, and pay her stay on fines and costs.
Ms. Miles, it sounds like you have a drug problem. So what is happening with all of these other cases?
I just got released from Nuevo like 2 months ago. And then the other one, the one that just got bound up to circuit court, I'll be doing probably 150 days. So
Are you,
I'll be going to prison too for Montcalm County.
Montcalm County?
She does have, so she actually has a warrant out of Montcalm County Circuit Court for delivering and manufacturing methamphetamine as well.
All right, so you've got that out of Montcalm. You, what's happening? Are you sentenced by Nuevo?
No, I was actually to be sent here Tuesday of this week, but you know,
Pending sentencing in Nuevo. New felony charges in Kent County on substances. Why didn't you take advantage of Judge Kelly's opportunity to help you with substance abuse assessment and services?
Then I had 2 other charges I was dealing with. I felt like the Montcalm charge was way more important at the time. I was trying to keep up with them. I had a tether on. I just got released out of there 2 months ago. And I honestly, I forgot about those charges. because I asked, or Judge Kelly extended my probation, and I even told him, like, I had a mess of other cases I was dealing with that were bigger. And he still referred, or to extend my probation to this year, and then put the substance abuse classes on and all that. I had, my crime charge has been pending for like 2 years now. I've been dealing with that one, and then the radio case, and I've just been dealing with the drug cases instead. Like, I felt like they were more important and more of a priority to me.
I mean, I understand that sentiment, right? This is a driving on suspended license charge, but it sounds like, no, but it sounds like Judge Kelly, what his intention was, and I wasn't here then, his intention was to give you access to services that could have helped you with the other pending drug matters and with the underlying drug problem that you have. And I wish that you had been able to take advantage of that, because I know that this staff and this court has always, when it was Judge Kelly and with me as well, has always wanted that to be available as assistance to people, no matter if the underlying offense was driving related or drug related. And I'm afraid that window has closed on you, at least in this court. All right, I'm revoking your probation. Do a 10-day jail sentence for me. You'll pay or stay on fines and costs. To the degree that any of those cannot be waived, they will be administratively closed. Pay or stay is 9 days. I wish you all the best, Ms. Miles. Are you Arnall Martin?
Yes.
All right, the court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Arnall Martin, case number 20-30302. ST, Mr. Martin, you were convicted in this court of the offense of driving with your license suspended, revoked, or denied. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. It is alleged that you have violated the terms of your probation by being convicted of allowing an unlicensed person to drive in violation of Michigan Vehicle Code out of the 61st District Court. So that is a new conviction, is alleged to be a violation of your probation. All right, did somebody provide him a copy of the petition?
Yes. he has
Right in front, so you can read right in front of you, that's the information that I have. Condition number 1 of your probation order is not to violate the laws of any city, state, or federal government. So if you were convicted in the 61st District Court of allowing an unlicensed person to drive, then that is potentially a violation of provision 1 of your probation. Hold on. You have the right to have an attorney represent you, to defend you on this allegation. You have the right to a contested hearing. At the hearing, probation officer would only have to prove a preponderance of evidence. That is, only have to have a better case than you that you violated your probation in the way that is alleged. In a minute. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you to defend against this allegation? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You paid your fines? Okay, that's fantastic. It is not alleged that you didn't pay your fines. It's alleged that you violated your probation by getting convicted of another offense. Would you like an attorney to represent you to defend against this allegation?
Yes, I do, because I don't know how I got evicted in that case.
Okay. So here's what we are going to do. We will appoint the Kent County Office of the Defender to represent you, to defend this allegation. We'll say not guilty for now. I'm going to ask the bailiff to take you back and put you in a box so when Kurt is available, he can come and talk with them. Okay. And then we'll have that hearing today.
And my life is breaking, that's why I stayed. Me and my kids' life is breaking, so I paid all my fines.
You know a lot more about your circumstances than I do, sir. And so that attorney is going to help you share what's important with me.
He reports after I call him for his appointments. He has paid his fines in full and cleared his suspension. He was on track to get his license and be discharged. But on May 20th of this year, I received a call from his wife stating that he left the state and was driving to Texas in her car. She stated that she was going to be revoking his bond for his felony CCW case that is pending trial, which happened before he was placed on probation for this offense. He has been in jail with no bond since June 2nd of 2021 and has no upcoming court dates for that felony case. My recommendation is less than satisfactory discharge for jail.
All right, Mr. Oberholzer.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Just to sort of reiterate, I suppose, Mr. Martin, again, he did, as Ms. Corti stated, pay all his fines, he cleared his suspensions, and he was well on his way to putting that valid license in his pocket, Your Honor. So, you know, yeah, he did have some success under his term of probation, Your Honor. So certainly like to note that. Otherwise, Mr. Martin, he is a proud father, 2 children. You know, he is being held indefinitely, I suppose, on the CCW charge at this point. So he's not certain when he's, you know, likely to be released on that. It seems like at least for this foreseeable future, he will be incarcerated while that case is pending, Your Honor. I think up until this point or today, Your Honor, I do believe Mr. Martin has served approximately 9 days in the Kent County Correctional Facility, if I'm not mistaken. And we would just ask that the court take all that into consideration in determining an appropriate sentence for Mr. Martin, just noting that he certainly has the CCW case pending and is, you know, already incarcerated and being held on that. So thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Oberholzer. Mr. Martin, is there anything that you would like to share with me before I impose sentence?
I know she grew up with my mom, like I said, my life was great. Me and my kids.
All right, well, it sounds to this court like you're going to be in the Kent County Correctional Facility for the immediate future, and so it doesn't seem like probation in this court serves any additional purpose. I am going to revoke your probation. Your fines and costs are paid. It's an unsatisfactory discharge. I'm saying 9 days jail credit for 9 days served. So you won't be spending any more time for this for me. You're all set, Mr. Martin. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And the court is calling the case of the City of Kentwood versus Jesus Antonio Ortiz, case number 19-50571OD. Mr. Ortiz appeared before this court earlier today and was arraigned on a number of probation allegations. He requested counsel. He appears with Mr. Oberholzer this afternoon. Have you had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Ortiz?
I have. Thank you very much, Your Honor. I did go over these alleged offenses or probation violations with Mr. Ortiz, Your Honor. And at this point in time, Mr. Ortiz is ready to tender a guilty plea, at least with regard to counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are alleged in the petition and order of probation violation. Mr. Ortiz understands that he is a tender guilty plea, at least with regard to counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. He wouldn't be waiving his rights to have a contested hearing. But otherwise, I don't believe Mr. Ortiz is prepared to enter a guilty plea with regard to count 1, Your Honor.
All right. Well, what we can do is enter those guilty pleas to 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then have some testimony on whether or not Mr. Ortiz indeed failed to report. And so, Mr. Ortiz, conviction upon these 4 allegations as drafted can result in a revocation of your probation and incarceration up to the maximum allowed under the law in this offense, 93 days. As to the allegation that you failed to report for probation, as to the allegation that you failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees currently totaling $1,194, how do you plead?
I think that's Your Honor.
To the allegation that you failed to complete an alcohol highway safety education program as directed?
Guilty, Your Honor.
To the allegation that you failed to complete a victim impact panel?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And to the allegation that you failed to abstain from the use of alcohol as directed?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right, I think maybe what we'll do is have you take a seat with Mr. Ortiz, and I will have Mr. Bastians give some testimony, and then we'll hear from,
He dismissed that one.
all right,
He requested this court date. So,
okay, so you are dismissing count one?
sure.
Okay. Well, that's satisfactory to this court. Mr. Bastians, I'll hear a chronology from you.
Your Honor, Mr. Ortiz early on indicated he couldn't do this probation. He has children to care for and doesn't have the resources or time or money to deal with it, wanted to serve jail. I initially talked to him into trying to comply with it, told him the court and probation to give him time to comply with it. And with probation, he still was unable to comply with any conditions. And then he obtained employment and said, I can do this now. And then shortly after was arrested on MDOT charges. He admitted to being intoxicated at the time of the offense. And then again requested to come back and work to serve jail. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. Mr. Overholzer?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I did have an opportunity to meet with Mr. Ortiz this afternoon, and I'd just like to share with the court that I believe, from my understanding, Your Honor, speaking to Mr. Ortiz, that shortly before being placed on probation through this court, Mr. Ortiz was unfortunately involved in what seems like a very serious motorcycle accident. As a result of that motorcycle accident, Mr. Ortiz suffered a fractured skull, fractured neck, I believe broken ribs, and it was a life-changing accident for Mr. Ortiz. It resulted in him being put in a position where he financially couldn't afford his medical bills and to take care of his obligations. And so he essentially became, in debt to many different people because of that accident, dealing with the medical bills and figure out how to, juggle his life after, suffering these very serious injuries. And so it's been a major struggle for Mr. Ortiz to get back to, on track essentially and sort of recover from that accident, both, physically and financially, Your Honor. Again, he had to borrow money. He owed a ton of different people all kinds of money. I am happy to report to the court at this point in time, though, Mr. Ortiz is finally, almost to that point where he is, not in debt to anyone. I think from my understanding, speaking of Mr. Ortiz, he at this point in time just owes $400 to one of his friends who helped him out when he was, down and out. And once he gets that $400 paid off, he'll finally be over that sort of hump, that was a result of this motorcycle accident that really threw his life into a spiral, I suppose is a good way to put it, Your Honor. And so, he's happy that he is at that point where he is moving forward and he's overcome, the adversities from that accident. Mr. Ortiz does have 4 children, Your Honor, ages 13, 9, 7, and 4. All those children are doing well. They're engaged in online school, I believe, at this time, and are doing well at home. Mom also lives at home with Mr. Ortiz and the children, and so he does come from a stable living environment. But it's been a significant struggle for Mr. Ortiz and his whole family, going through all of this since that motorcycle accident. And I forgot to mention, Your Honor, that also as a result of the motorcycle accident, it put Mr. Ortiz's, he didn't have anywhere to live, frankly. He ended up having to live in a hotel for a period of time. And it was just very unfortunate circumstances for him. Luckily, at this point in time, just a month ago, I believe, he was able to secure a 2-bedroom apartment for his family. So they have a good living environment at this point in time. They're not living out of hotels, which is great. Mr. Ortiz is, gainfully employed through Ross Can, working 3rd shift. His supervisor actually knows about what Mr. Ortiz is going through here today, as well as his other cases, the malicious destruction of property case. And I'm told that his supervisor is very supportive of Mr. Ortiz. He, considers Mr. Ortiz to be a very good employee and thinks very highly of Mr. Ortiz. Certainly, and again, he knows all about what's going on with Mr. Ortiz. And I do believe the supervisor would have possibly should be here today if it weren't for him, I think, having to work. But certainly Mr. Ortiz has indicated to me that, if the court would be interested in hearing from the supervisor. The supervisor has, made it clear to Mr. Ortiz that he'd be willing to vouch for him essentially and attest to, that he is a hard worker. He's always at work on time and, takes care of his responsibilities. As has already been noted, Mr. Ortiz does have that malicious destruction of property case, I believe, pending out of, right now, I believe, Your Honor, it's in the 61st District Court. It has yet to be bound over. From my understanding, the 18th of June will be Mr. Ortiz's next court date for that case. He is reporting to.
That is an MDOP felony?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he is reporting currently to court services, and from what I understand, it seems like everything's going well with that. He is reporting as needed. Right now, Mr. Ortiz, also, Your Honor, he doesn't have a driver's license. He's not driving. He's relying, heavily on Uber and that sort of thing, or when when the mother, the children is able to give him rides, he's able to do that. So it's been an incredible struggle, honestly, for Mr. Ortiz. Even before he was placed on probation here, but I do feel like he is, Your Honor, to a point finally where if he could, focus on, these probationary terms and, making payments for his fines and costs, financially speaking, he just wasn't able to do any of that in the past, and it was a crazy struggle for him. Even with the victim impact panel, and I discussed, why he didn't get that done, Your Honor, and he basically, Mr. Ortiz told me just the $25 was just too much to afford even at the time, just given everyone he owed, trying to take care of his kids. And again, I think he is finally, coming to a point where he would be able to take care of these obligations. It seems like he's taking it very seriously, Your Honor, and if this court is to give him any sort of second chances, I do believe Mr. Ortiz can prove to this court that he is the responsible person that we're talking about and get these things done, Your Honor. I guess lastly, I would just note that with regard to the felon to abstain from the use of alcohol as directed, I do believe Mr. Ortiz was honest with his probation officer when questioned about it. And so I suppose with that being said, Your Honor, we would respectfully ask this court to consider continuing Mr. Ortiz on probation, given that he is in a position now where he can, get these things done and he's not, drowning in debt. So we would ask the court to consider that second chance at this point. Thank you, Your Honor.
I think Mr. Bastian said that you asked to serve jail instead of probation.
In the beginning, yes, Your Honor, I was very stressed out, just to be on for the money that I owed my clients, because like I said, the reason I'm on probation was for driving and intoxicated on a motorcycle, which I was in an accident for.
Was the accident the same incident for which
Yes,
you
I'm on
had this
probation for
conviction?
that. I'm on probation for that accident.
Okay.
I was out of work for about 5 months. I had friends, family members help me. I even had a friend that canceled the vacation to loan me money to get me through. Unfortunately, I did lose my house. I lose my car. I had to sell the car just to get by. I'm just in debt, and I did tell my probation officer that I just rather serve time because I was just overwhelmed with, at the time, overwhelmed with everything. And then on top of that, he informed me that there was an additional 200 extra 1,000. And that just threw me off the roots. I kind of gave up hope. And like I said, right now, I'm back on my feet. I owe $400 to one of my friends. I know that victim impact is only $25, but that $25 should be used different between making it to work and not making it to work.
But let me ask you this. How is it that you can work and provide for your family if you're in jail?
Oh, I wasn't in jail.
No. But if you prefer to serve time because the
Well, at the
obligations
time-
of calling Mr. Bastian and coming to this court and dropping and doing this victim impact panel, how would you better serve your family
Well, at that
from the
time,
Kent County Correctional Facility?
At that time, I was living with someone. And I just said, well, I'll just serve the time, so, because I was overwhelmed with debt. And at the time, we were living with someone that said they were gonna help us, but unfortunately, with my poor kid being there, but I had started getting bumped, it went bad, so I did call my probation officer when I did get the trunk check, to inform him that I had the money to pay him. He did not answer the phone. I got the message, never got back to me. It's been back and forth to me and him about this.
Are you able to pay today?
I can't pay nothing right now because I use that money to put towards the apartment that I got now with the mother of my kids. But I'm still waiting on my income tax check to come in, and that was my plan to do that, to pay that off. I still haven't received my income tax that I've been checking in with H&R Black. They just keep telling me whenever it shows up, it'll show up. I just been really in a bad situation that way. I'm a man of my word, and the people that helped me out to earn my family, I believe deserve to get paid their money back. I do intend to get it put back the money. You can check my history. I've never failed to pay any fines at all. I'm responsible. Take full responsibility for my actions. I just got dealt with a terrible man right now. It's my fault, but I just really been in a hard place financially. You can give me just 2 more months, and I guarantee you, no fail, the money's gonna be paid. That online expense will be done. I just can't go there because I cannot lose this job. I worked so hard to stay in that job and maintain it, and it would just throw me off if I go to there and lose that job. It just throw everything off.
Mr. Bastians, what were you trying to interject?
So, yeah, he's right, the reason he's on probation for the motorcycle accident.
Mhm.
It's not a separate incident.
Right.
We just spoke on May 26th, and he said, this is not a priority, this court is not a priority, and you guys are, that was May 26th.
That was 14 days
That's
ago.
why we're here today.
And that's when he requested this hearing? I signed this petition June 2nd.
Well, the altercation that happened between me and Mr. Demas, he called me and said that I failed to call him, which I did, but I did call him and I have evidence proving that I did call him, and it's.
He's claiming.
Nobody, I'm not interested in whether or not there was a phone call.
When, like I said, the last one that happened was, well, he said that I was getting copied, and the next thing I said, well, I'm just gonna send your paper to the court. I was, okay, I didn't call the request, and all I just said is right now, I have other, things pending that I have to pay before I start paying you guys.
All right, your recommendation, and do you have an amount of jail time recommendation, Mr. Bastians?
Typically, Judge Kelly would assess those.
He never asked you for a recommendation?
He didn't, not on days.
Okay.
Not on a number of days.
All right.
If you're asking me, 30 days. He's asked for this court date more than once, I've been trying to talk him out of it more for the last year.
Only one
If
step.
his family, his obligations were so important, he should not have been out drinking and down your times.
How long have you been at Roscam?
I'm going to your now, Your Honor.
Been at Roscam for going on a year.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this probation order is dated December 19th, which means you had all of 2020.
I wasn't working still at the beginning of my probation. I was still on the first.
Okay, that's fair, but then you're out of work for 5 months, which means for half of 2020, you were working. So you've been working at Roscam for about a year. And in that time, you haven't made a payment or done the victim impact panel. I hear you saying that $25 is the difference between going to work and not, but I think you had enough time to make some of those things happen.
I was trying. I was in bed, and I had people calling me like, "Hey, when you get me back money?" This was a stressful situation, and yes, I did tell them at the beginning that it just rather so it's gonna pay off the fine. That was just under the moment of frustration and everything being overwhelmed. And on top of that $1,000, he added another additional $200 to that. It was an add to that, which threw me over there because I didn't owe so much money to people on that. I spoke out of emotional state. I'll leave it up to you, Your Honor. You think it's best?
Well, it is up to me, and I really want to do what's best. And I know you have a family and you have a job, and the thing is that during this whole period of time, you've had those obligations, but you've also had this. And I'm not convinced that your conduct has changed much since a year and a half ago when you had this accident to the date that you stand before me. We've never met before. This is the first time that I'm hearing any of these pieces of information from you or Mr. Bastians. The very first time. But you've been on probation with this court for a long time, and I am going to revoke it today. I am going to sentence you to 20 days in jail and a 20-day pay or stay. Your fines and costs are due in full. If you cannot pay them, pay or stay. You 20 days in jail. And if you do not pay your fines and costs in full within those 20 days, you will do 20 days, $50 a day. You are staying until it is paid off.
Well, how can I pay if I'm not working? How can I pay that money if I'm not?
Well, it is certainly a difficult circumstance. Get in touch with your family. That's why we offer this. You won't owe it anymore if you have to do the
I
stay
can pay
part.
it off and if I have my taxes that come in on it.
Well, maybe it will come in within the next 20 days. We're all set here. Nope, we're all set. Court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Muna Brooks, case number 20-30224 SM. Ms. Brooks appeared before this court earlier and was arraigned on a petition to revoke probation. She asked for court-appointed counsel, and so I appointed Mr. Overholzer. Have you had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Brooks?
I have, Your Honor. Thank you very much. I have another opportunity to go over this violation with Ms. Brooks, Your Honor. I do believe at this time she wishes to tender a guilty plea, knowing that if she does so, she would be waiving her rights to have a contested hearing regarding the violation. I believe with the knowledge, knowing that she's waiving the right to have the contested hearing, she wishes to offer that guilty plea at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Brooks, you understand that conviction upon this allegation could result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law. If you tender a guilty plea and the court accepts it, the penalty could be revocation of your probation, at which point I could sentence you up to the maximum allowed under the law for the offense on which you were convicted, which was attempted R&O, which is punishable by up to a year in the county jail. You understand that? As to the allegation that you violated your probation by pleading guilty to assaulting, resisting, and obstructing a police officer and domestic violence second offense in the 17th Circuit Court on May 24th of this year, how do you plead? I'm going to have your probation officer give me a chronology of events in this case, and then I'll hear Mr. Overholzer's argument.
Thank you. Munoz was placed on probation November 24th of 2020 for attempted assault with a obstructed police officer and domestic violence. She was in a physical altercation with her sister, and when the police tried to arrest her, she started kicking and kicked an officer in the face. She has since committed the same offense in which she's on probation for. The victim in that case is her boyfriend. The police report indicates she caught him with a broken coffee mug and started to walk away, and when police were trying to question her. They struggled to get the handcuffs on her. This incident occurred on February 20th of this year. She pled guilty on May 24th to assault, resist, obstruct, and DV second. She was arrested on March 31st of this year for a bond violation and was released on May 24th. She served 55 days in jail for that.
What was the bond violation?
She was not in contact with her boyfriend. She has sentencing for that case July 6th. She has completed her 40 hours of community service work for this probation. She was in the process of getting into counseling at Cherry Health before she got arrested, and then that was put on hold while she was in custody. No counseling has been completed as of yet. My recommendation is to revoke. She's going to be put on probation with circuit court, likely that's not set in stone at this point. Revoke her HYPA status and spousal back to jail, and then continue on her payments for court.
Mr. Overholzer.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, Ms. Brooks, she's a 20-year-old She lives with her mom currently. Her mother does know about all these pending cases. She's quite concerned about her daughter. I'm happy to report to the court, Ms. Brooks did just secure new employment. She just got a job, I believe, as of this past Monday, correct? At I believe the business is salon. It's a factory job, Your Honor. So she is working with hair products and working with those in the factory setting, Your Honor. So she's very proud that she did get that new job. I'm looking forward to continuing with that employer. Hopefully, as Ms. Colperson stated, Ms. Brooks did get her community service completed the 40 hours. My understanding is she got that completed with goodwill, which was a great experience for her. She was working, being on clothes and working with the goods that they have there. It was such a great experience for her, actually, Your Honor, that she's even offered a job to be hired there. Unfortunately, and I think Ms. Royston stated herself, she did make a very poor mistake, poor decision, and she ended up incurring this new charge, which she pled guilty to. So unfortunately, that chance sort of went away when she was incarcerated due to that new case. So she wasn't able to continue her appeal, but she did do such a great job. She impressed them so much that they were looking to hire her. So I think that certainly speaks to her character. She's current on her payment plan, which is great, Your Honor. My understanding is with regard to the counseling is that Ms. Brooks is set that up, I believe next Tuesday. And she's looking forward to hopefully doing that, and she's going to, she's engaged and she certainly plans to do that, Your Honor. She is very concerned about her 17th Circuit court case, Your Honor. She did do the 55 days as of recent and was released on May 24th, I believe, after she attended that guilty plea to that case. So she just served, significant period of incarceration, and straight away she got to work, and after being released on May 24th, got that job, and she's really taking this seriously, I think, Your Honor. And she is set to be sentenced here on July 6, 2021 in the 17th Circuit Court. She's very concerned about how that's going to go, understandably. She's even worried about, I'm not really sure what the plea agreement necessarily was that was worked out on behalf of Ms. Brooks, but she's actually concerned that she may be going to jail for a period of time on it. And I'm not sure exactly what her guidelines look like, but she's very concerned that she may be incarcerated for potentially a long period of time on that case. And so it's been a little bit of a rough, bumpy road for Ms. Brooks, but she is moving forward the best she can at this point in time. And she's got that new job, and things seem to be going somewhat well after after the 17th Circuit Court case occurred. We would just ask the court respectfully, Your Honor, to highly consider a continuation of probation for Ms. Brooks at this time, noting that she will likely, at least receive some term of probation in the Circuit Court case, if not potentially some jail time. If the court is looking to revoke Ms. Brooks' HIDA status or 7694A status, Ms. Brooks, we had a discussion about how important, what a great second chance that the deferral statutes offered for her. And she certainly would be very disappointed to lose those and have these charges be on her record. We would ask the court to possibly consider not revoking those and allow her to continue on probation and prove that she, means business here and is taking this seriously. However, if the court is inclined to revoke those deferral statutes, we would ask that serves as enough punishment and that no further upfront jail be necessary, as it is a huge loss to lose those deferral statutes. Absolutely, and I think Ms. Brooks understands that and realizes that. And so, with that, Your Honor, again, we would just ask to not give Ms. Brooks any upfront jail at this time, continue her on probation. And we would ask the court respectfully to consider holding her HIDA as well as 7694A intact at this time, Your Honor, and allow her to successfully complete her term of probation through this court. Thank you.
You don't get to keep your HIDA status. You don't get to keep it. You don't get to keep your 7694A deferral. You don't get to keep those. Those were gifts. Probation is a matter of grace, Ms. Brooks. No court is required to give it. No court is required to allow you to defer conviction or public record upon conviction except by choice. You showed Judge Kelly or he thought you were a good candidate, and maybe at that time it was your first offense, it was, or you wouldn't have been eligible at least for the DV. I don't know about the HIDA status. And I don't know anything about you except for you don't listen because you just spent 55 days in jail, not for the offense that you have pled guilty to in the 17th Circuit, or to this offense, these two, that you pled guilty to in this court, but for failing to abide by the court's order on pretrial release, which I would, again, is a matter of grace. Those are the things that I know about you thus far. Mr. Overholter is very eloquent. He does an excellent job in highlighting the good. And I'm glad that you had such a good experience doing community service. I'm quite impressed that you got that done. But it clearly wasn't what you needed. What you needed is counseling and therapy. And I don't know how you're going to get that from jail. But I don't know how you're going to not be in jail if you keep up with the conduct and the failure to hear what the courts are saying to you. Do you understand? She's to be sentenced when?
Your Honor, I believe July 6, 2021 is her sentencing date in the 17th Circuit Court.
And she's already done 55 days on that case. Who's the judge on her 17th Circuit Court case? Does anyone know?
It should be in the purple file. Let me see if I can do it here. Judge Elmore.
Hmm. So let's talk through your best case scenario. Your best case scenario is that I let you walk out of here today and you keep your job at Salon because I'm revoking your status, period. No deferrals. Those then become public convictions that up your guidelines for your conviction upon the new offenses in the circuit court. You have a job from now until the beginning of July, so 30 days-ish, to work up, to pay off 17th Circuit Court fees. And the $300 and some you still owe us. Say again? When you start working. The job at Salon, that. Uh-huh. On this Monday, the 14th? What time do you start?
6 to 2.
6 a.m.?
Yeah, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Is it full-time? Any final comments, Ms. Kaprisky?
I have no additional comments at this time.
Ms. Brooks, whatever therapy and counseling you need, you're gonna have to get as a result of whatever sentence happens to you in the 17th Circuit Court. You're not gonna see any additional grace from me today. It was already extended. I'm revoking your probation and you are sentenced to 30 days in jail on this offense. Pay your fines and costs in full or stay an additional 8 days. Mr. Maxwell, you said another person, another case of yours, Mr. Humphreys? Mr. Humphreys. The court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Tyvon Powell Humphrey, case number 19-30310 SM. Oh, hold on. This person is, I'm gonna move Velvet back into the waiting room. I don't think he can hear me anyway.
You probably cannot.
Mr. Humphrey. You were convicted in this court of the offense of false pretenses, over $200. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. It is alleged that you violated your probation by committing the offense of retail fraud second in the city of Holland on January 23rd of 2020. That you pled guilty to that offense. Conviction upon that offense can result in revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law for that offense, which is up to 1 year in jail.
Your Honor,
Yes.
that is the amended, there's also a second page.
And these are the allegations I was just going to get to. We arraigned you on, yes, so I arraigned you on May 31st on these 5 allegations. And then this has been added since then. So in the last 10 days.
I saw that he had been convicted of the pending offense.
All right. Well, when you were arraigned on these original 5 allegations, you requested court-appointed counsel. Have you had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Oberholzer about the original allegations?
Yes.
And Mr. Oberholzer, were you aware of the amended probation petition to revoke and the additional allegation?
I was, Your Honor. I was, Mr. Maxwell handed me a copy of the amended petition in order for probation violation indicating count 6. And so I did have a chance to discuss count 6 as well as count 1 through 5 with Mr. Humphrey.
All right, and how does your client intend to proceed today?
Your Honor, after speaking with Mr. Humphrey, I do believe he wishes to tender a guilty plea with regard to all 6 probation violations which are alleged. Mr. Humphrey and I did discuss the fact that if he is to tender a guilty plea with regard to all 6 probation violations, he would be waiving the right to have a contested hearing. With that knowledge, I do believe he is again prepared to offer that guilty plea and waive that right to have a contested hearing.
All right, Mr. Humphrey, you understand that conviction upon these allegations can result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to 1 year in jail, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the allegation that you violated your probation by committing the offense of failing to display a valid license on November 14th of 2019, how do you plead?
Innocent.
To the allegation that you committed the offense of retail fraud second on December 5th, 2019 in the city of Wyoming,
Innocent.
to the offense that you failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, which I have at $1,299.34. Is that correct, Mr. Maxwell?
That's correct.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may just very, very briefly, I did, Mr. Humphrey did provide me with a receipt. Looks like he did make a $100 payment, we can provide the court with a copy of that receipt if the court is interested in taking a look at that.
So that was made today.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, so failing to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, if that, and I have no reason to disbelieve you, that now total $1,199.34. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sorry.
And as to the allegation that you failed to clear at least one suspension per month from your license, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And last, to the allegation that you violated your probation by committing the offense of retail fraud second in the city of Holland on January 23rd of 2020, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, I'm going to ask Mr. Maxwell for a chronology of events, and then I'll hear comments from your attorney.
Thank you. Mr. Humphrey was placed on probation back in September 2019. Shortly thereafter, at that time, he was on probation in Elmwood County for a month of automobile and also in Hyde after that case. Unfortunately, during the length of his probation, he's picked up countless offenses. Started with 6 and ended up pleading guilty to 3 offenses during the course of his probation. That's not including the cases that were picked up while he was on bond here. Probation, Kalamazoo ended up being revoked. He's only paid $106.24 towards fines and costs. Missed appointments. Biggest thing is he's picked up 3 new criminal convictions while on probation, and they are all, and 2 of them are theft related, which is what this is related to. It's clear that you just can't stop taking what's not his. I'm recommending revoke probation, serve jail, fines and costs 2 and 4, serve additional jail. He currently owes of his whole $645.84 is restitution.
I'm sorry, what amount is restitution?
Restitution before his payment today was $645.84.
So now it's ostensibly $545.84?
I don't know how they break it down, so we 50% of that would be split between 2 restitution.
Oh, there's 2 victims.
And the victim impact and prime victim rights.
Mr. Overholzer?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like to start off just by pointing out Mr. Humphrey is taking this absolutely very seriously. He went through extraordinary efforts just to be here today for this probation violation here, Your Honor. Mr. Humphrey does reside down in Kalamazoo currently, and in order to get here, he actually had to secure a hotel room for which he paid for. He scheduled an Uber ride to bring him up from down from Kalamazoo up to Kentwood so he could be here today. I'm told that was, a $100 Uber ride and then the hotel room. So he's taking this very seriously. He presented himself nicely for the court, and he's taking this absolutely very seriously. I would just like to further point out he does have other pending cases, as it's been noted. One case is out of the 61st District Court. I'm sorry, it's not a pending case, Your Honor. However, he did owe money to that court. He just recently actually made a payment of $450 on June 9, 2021. Mr. Humphrey actually showed me his bank account statement and showing that that $450 was paid to the 61st District Court. So I can't verify to the court that it looks like he did make that payment. I saw that the 61st District Court was listed on the bank statement. He also made that $100 payment today. And while he was showing me his bank account, Your Honor, I was able to see that he has a balance essentially of $25, actually less than that. I believe it's $24 and some odd change. So finances are certainly a struggle, but he wanted to make sure he was here today, show the court that he's taking not only this case, but all his other cases very seriously too, and doing what he needs to do to make those payments and making efforts. He really wants to, is very invested in showing this court and just all of these other courts that he means business, and he's doing that, Your Honor. Mr. Humphrey has, he's a very accomplished individual, honestly, Your Honor. He actually graduated from Western Michigan University in December 17th, 2020. He received a bachelor's in sociology. And right after receiving that degree, Your Honor, he was able to secure employment through Housing Resources Incorporated. He works there as a case manager and has been there since just after December 17th, 2020, when he graduated with his degree. And as a case manager with that company, he actually helps people who are homeless, have been convicted of criminal offenses, and helps get them back on their feet, find employment, housing, and just tries to help them overall become established. So it's very good work that he does, and I know that he really enjoys his time working with that employer, and we'll certainly be looking forward to continuing that here, hopefully. Currently, Your Honor, his license is suspended, Mr. Humphrey says. He knows that he owes a ton of money in terms of trying to get his license back, and that has been another struggle that he's had to deal with, and he's had to learn the hard way that he can't drive without that valid license. And but he's maybe he wasn't taking that seriously before, but as we stand here today before the court, he certainly had his taking it seriously, Your Honor. It's no secret that Mr. Humphrey does have some past criminal history, or maybe even he's quite a bit of criminal history in his past, Your Honor. But I do, from what I can tell in talking to Mr. Humphrey, the last year at least, he hasn't been able to live a life where he hasn't, I don't believe, incurred any additional criminal charges. And so, while he does have a significant, criminal past, the last year he's, trying to rewrite the script, I guess is a good way to put it, Your Honor. And I think he's doing that, and again, taking everything very seriously. He wants to overcome these adversities and learn from his mistakes and poor decisions that he's made in the past. And he's certainly here before the court to accept responsibility. Your Honor, he is on probation currently out of Wyoming District Court as well. I do believe he just went before the judge in Wyoming very recently. And what the judge did in Wyoming was they restarted his probation. So they're setting him up to do some community service down in Kalamazoo, where he does reside, so that hopefully he'll be able to get those things accomplished, noting that he does reside down in Kalamazoo. I do believe actually Mr. Humphrey is required to report, let his probation officer know how this hearing went, assuming that he's able to do so. Lastly, Your Honor, I'd just like to state that I believe Mr. Humphrey did serve approximately 4 days in Kent County Correctional Facility after he was arraigned on his probation violation. And then I do believe he bonded out 4 days later. So he did serve those 4 days. He did indicate to me as well, Mr. Humphrey did, even though he's very tight on money right now, as soon as he's able to get some additional money, he's ready to tender additional payment to this court to satisfy the restitution and outstanding fines and costs. And so he's hopeful that by tomorrow he'll be able to make that payment. Even though he's extremely tight on money, he's willing to do whatever it takes to show this court as well as the other courts, again, that he means business. And I sincerely believe that Mr. Humphrey, does mean that. So with that being said, Your Honor, we would very respectfully ask the court to consider continuing Mr. Humphrey on probation. And again, while he may not have done business in the past, he's working on, doing that at this point, Your Honor. And I think he is on that track. And we just ask the court to possibly give Mr. Humphrey a second chance here, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Maxwell, I'm looking at this file, and he was missing in action for like 11 months, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And those are pending driving license suspended from May 29th. It was picked up on this warrant.
I remember your video arraignment, Mr. Humphrey.
Yeah, you told me, show you that I meant to.
Yep. And I remember that I set a cash bond for you, which you must have paid. Because somebody paid it because you're here. And I said, because that would then be added to the restitution owed to these two victims, because while you've been working on yourself, which is appreciated, those two individuals had not yet been made whole. And you made another payment today despite what appears to be meager circumstances.
Yeah, no, say something.
You may.
Thank you. And so the court that I had paid the $400 something to, that was like a restitution fee or something like that, I think it was. So what I remember you saying was like, you know, those people incurred something from me that I did, you know, like, and I remember you saying like, pay the people first. And that's why I paid that one for. I thought about spending money and getting it up here and there, but I'd rather just pay one person all. So I'll take that person back, well, the court back so they can get their restitution back from the court. And I definitely have plans to keep doing it in the future. Yeah, I know I made a lot of mistakes. I actually wrote your letter. Sorry. I know I made a lot of mistakes in the past, and now I'm not reading my letter, but I've changed my life, and I heard you during that video, Raymond, and I've done everything you asked me to do for full capability that I can. I get paid tomorrow, and I'm not rich. I'm a social worker, but I'm willing to do it. It's been a year since I've done anything like criminally, illegally, minus this driving, but I've literally been taking Ubers a lot. I've been walking. I graduated, and I just want to continue to tell people that's, you know, in my shoes, because I know how it feels, and it's not like an ultimate last thing.
What do you mean, people who are in your shoes?
Well, I have 38 clients, but I help 38 people who were in my shoes, or in my shoes.
In a poor socioeconomic climate, people who are accused of crimes, what do you mean by in your shoes?
Like, where they made poor choices in the past, and they didn't know what the right choice was to make, and they don't know like what to do afterwards after they make poor choices, or how to like turn their life around. Which is what I've been doing, and I want to show them, like, you know, because like, and it's weird because at my company there's not a lot of people that's like me, that's been through these things in the past, and when I tell my clients, you know, like it's possible because I did it, you know, and I want to continue to be able to do that. And like, I literally gave y'all both the courts, everything I had. I don't know me tonight, but I get paid tomorrow, and I just wanted to show you that I was real. You asked me to do something, I did. Like, I gave you everything I had.
The distinction between you and the customer before you is your ability to listen. By my calculation, he only has 7 months on probation with our court, right? So we've got some time we can work with Mr. Humphrey.
That's correct.
Who's going to pay off Richard Cox and Melia Coolidge
Yeah.
at his earliest possible opportunity by making payments to this court. I will extend your probation for another 6 months. During that time, all of the continued provisions are the same. You're doing your community service for Wyoming. You're going to continue. Are you walking?
No, I'm driving because she got a license, and I can't afford Uber.
You'll keep reporting to Mr. Maxwell, and he's going to report to me how well you do. You can be that example. You can be that example to your clients. I am a firm believer that people deserve second chances. They get a certain amount of time and grace. What they do with it makes all the difference in how their life turns out. You may go, Mr. Humphrey.
Your Honor.
Good luck.
Sign on this real quick so we can go to the bailiffs.
No, not Mr. Brown.
Okay. Do not, thank you though.
Hi, you hear Miss Brooks screaming back there?
I made everybody cry
She was
today.
like wailing.
Oh, just have to take out her hair or something?
What's that?
Stop.
No.
Were you- Is that a serious statement? Oh, okay.
Not the hair she had when she was.
No, they'll take it on down there.
Maybe, Maybe that is
Oh,
the
dude,
ticket.
my favorite secretary.
Oh my.
No, but she's like, tell the judge that. I need to go to jail. Sorry, but she was
You gotta
real.
listen. You gotta not commit new felonies.
I agree.
I just,